All right, we are recording the interview of Paul Nix. This interview is being conducted by Jeremy Tkach from the Wright State University's Veteran Voices Project. This interview is being recorded at Wright State University in the Veterans and Military Center. It is 2:50 p.m. on August 3rd, 2018. Paul, thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it. All right, let's get started with where and when were you born?
Oh, I was born in a place, small college town called Montevallo, Alabama. It's a college town about 7,000.
Mm-hmm.
And I was born on May 25th, 1942.
Who were your parents and what were their occupations?
My parents, Amos Nix,
Mm-hmm.
and Dorthola Nix. And they worked at the college.
Mm-hmm.
My father worked, Amos worked as a janitor, and my mother worked there as a maid or a housekeeper.
Mm-hmm.
So they worked to retirement,
Mm-hmm.
both of them.
Do you have any brothers and sisters?
I do. I have one that's deceased, one brother,
Mm-hmm.
and I have one sister that's deceased, and one brother who is alive,
Mm-hmm.
still with us.
Do you have any family members that served in the military?
Yes, my brother did. He served ahead of me. He was older. I was the youngest of the group,
Mm-hmm.
and he served in the Air Force as well as I did as a commissioned officer.
What was his name?
His name was Willie Earl Nix.
Okay. And what year did you join the Air Force?
I joined the Air Force in 1964.
64.
Out of college,
Mm-hmm.
ROTC grad, and from Tuskegee University.
Okay.
I entered in July of 1964. I graduated in May of 1964.
What did you study?
I studied chemistry.
Chemistry. What led to your decision to join ROTC?
Well, it was one was the fact that I knew the war was going on,
Mm-hmm.
and I knew that I would be called to do something for the good of the country, and I thought that the Air Force would be the proper place to end up.
Mm-hmm.
Since I was going to college,
Mm-hmm.
I thought I would want to just go directly into the military
Mm-hmm.
first and get that out of the way, or see what kind of life I would like there,
Mm-hmm.
opposed to going into private industry.
Mm-hmm.
And so probably wouldn't have a choice
Yeah.
either way during that time period. So
What did your family think about joining the military?
they thought it was great because one, they wanted to get, help support me and get me. They did support me up to that point, up in
Mhm. college,
and they wanted me to get through college, and they saw that was. I explained to them the reason. They agreed with me that I should do something that I think I would like and enjoy,
Mm-hmm.
and would be a help to the country too as well.
Mm-hmm. Tell me about ROTC. What was that like?
Well, ROTC was very good because it taught me some things that discipline and things and working with people and
Mhm.
organization skill that I could use, throughout in the future.
Mm-hmm.
So ROTC working with the cadets and other cadets, and started as ROTC was initially at Tuskegee.
Mm-hmm.
You had 2 years of basic training, whether you was required,
Mm-hmm.
and then 2 years of advanced training if you passed the test, of course, and if you desired and wanted to go further.
Mm-hmm.
So after the first 2 basic years,
Mm-hmm.
I passed the test, and then I decided to just continue on into it. But the life.
You're fine.
But I thought that that was a way to go, and I could see my that would help me at the end of my college years,
Mm-hmm.
I would have something to do and had a job
Mm-hmm.
right out in front of me.
Yeah.
So,
Do you have any professors or instructors that stood out to you?
I had. Let me turn this off. I'm sorry.
You're fine.
I'm trying to turn it off. I'm trying. Yes, I had my calculus instructor,
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Fuller.
Mm-hmm.
He was a person that he was tough
Mm-hmm.
and had very had interesting year with him. But he was helpful, but he was tough, and he wanted to make sure that you got the skills down properly. So yes, Dr. Fuller stood out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What was the feeling like when you finally got your commission?
Great relief. A lot of stress because I knew that I could not, if I had to go another year or anything
Mm-hmm.
longer. I had a 4-year, I went to school for 4 years in
Mm-hmm.
college. And if I had to extend that,
Mm-hmm.
that I would be in trouble because my parents struggled to get me that far.
Mm-hmm.
And I did manage to get a scholarship that was partial. That
Mm-hmm.
would be helpful.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a scholarship that was given through a school in my home city there, Montevallo. It was University of Montevallo was located there.
Mm-hmm.
But as a black officer, as a black person, I wasn't couldn't go there.
Mm-hmm.
So that's I went to Tuskegee. But they did help me
Mm-hmm.
in that way. My mom, who worked there, and my father, they were able to get some small amount of assistance from the university, even though I wasn't able to go there
Mm-hmm.
to help out.
Awesome. What was your first assignment when you
My
got?
first assignment was at the Air Force Rocket Propulsion Lab
Mm-hmm.
at Edwards Air Force Base, and that was out on the desert.
Mm-hmm.
First year, and never had been to California before.
Uh-huh.
And so it was a little bit interesting
Mm-hmm.
to go there and see everything so isolated.
Mm-hmm.
But found out there it was very rewarding
Mm-hmm.
after working there for some time and getting to know people there, and the job.
Mm-hmm.
The job stood out. So if without that, I think it might have been kind of tough.
Mm-hmm. So you're a rocket scientist.
Yes.
And how long were you there?
I was there for 2 years,
Mhm.
from July of '64 to '66,
Mm-hmm.
and I worked there at the Air Force Rocket Propulsion Lab, in the chemistry lab,
Mm-hmm.
working with rocket propellants and experimental propellants for future use, and for also contractors who worked with us.
Mm-hmm.
To work with them to do a little bit of testing of some possible propellant that could be used. Okay, so sorry, I apologize. Go ahead.
After Edwards Air Force Base, what was your next assignment?
My next assignment was at, because of the Vietnam situation, then my next assignment was at McConnell Air Force Base.
Mm-hmm.
And I was retrained, I was reassigned
Mm-hmm.
to work in munitions.
Mm-hmm.
But to do that, it was a change in my specialty code.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to go to school first, TDY, to get the training as a munitions officer. In
Mm-hmm.
munitions, I worked with the F-105s, aircraft loading. Go ahead.
Oh.
I'm trying to turn this thing off.
So Tell me about that job then, working with the F-105s and munitions.
Well, I was as a second lieutenant.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me, I'm a first lieutenant. I was supervising crews who responsible for loading munitions on the aircraft and storage. Excuse me, not in this area, but not at that time. But at McConnell, primarily just loading and unloading of weapons on aircraft. And at McConnell, they did testing, and these aircraft were destined to go to Vietnam to fly missions there, and crews to go to support that. So my crews were responsible for the munitions that were loaded, unloaded, and so forth. So my job was as a supervisor.
Did you end up going to Vietnam?
I did. Well, not Vietnam, but Thailand, to still support out of Thailand into Vietnam.
Tell me about that.
That job, I worked. I worked as a munitions supervisor, so I had, in addition to the aircraft loading, I was responsible for the storage of the munitions as well. So I had to make sure my crews were trained and properly ready to do the work that they were assigned to do and support all of the missions, the 105 missions that were coming out, going and coming out out of there.
And what year was this?
This was 1968.
Oh, okay. And where in Thailand was that? What base?
It was at Tkach, Thailand.
And how long were you there?
I was there for a year.
For a year? And did you enjoy that experience, or?
I did, but again, and just keeping focusing on the mission and what we were there for. I was there for a year, and I wanted to make the best use of it at the time, and since I was there to give the support that I was called upon to do. So that's in that respect, with separation from the family, that's a challenge. But still, that the year was interesting, to say the least.
How did you communicate with your family back home?
Well, to be honest, what I did, we had a little small tape recorder.
Tape recorders, yeah.
And this, at that time, was a little reel-to-reel recorder. And my wife and I exchanged daily reel-to-reel tapes of each other. So even though they were a week behind a receipt, but it was consistent, it was steady. So I might find out what was going on a week ago, but it was the one after that would follow up, and that's likewise what the responses are. So that way we kept the communication going with the weekly, with the daily tape.
Oh, that's pretty impressive. When you got back from Thailand, what was that feeling like?
Again, relief. That I felt like I had supported, done what I was asked to do, and to get back and turn my life. Be back united with the family again, and get into something different.
What was your assignment after Thailand?
Well, assignment was in missile field.
Okay.
So, along with the missile, I was required to go into training. Of course, they don't put you in anything unless you're trained to do it. And that's off to another 3 months training. And so it required going to different bases to get that training. And then I ended up back at McConnell. And then this time it was missiles was Titan 2. Titan 2.
And how long were you there at McConnell?
It was McConnell, I was there for, I think it was 2 years.
2 years?
Yes, and I went to Vandenberg Air Force Base from there since as an instructor. And I excelled at McConnell, and they were allowed you to, if you do a pretty good job, which I think I did, you could go into training for, crews. So that's the Vandenberg assignment. That's what I ended up doing as an instructor there.
And when you worked with the Titans, were you just on, you would do alert duty?
No, I was alert
yeah.
duty.
Okay.
And instructor.
And then after Vandenberg?
At Vandenberg, I stayed in missiles. So I had done the Titan II. So I turned to training in the Minuteman.
Minutemans. And where was that at?
That was at Whiteman after the training and qualification.
And how long were you there?
I think it was 2 years there. And from there I went to Peterson, Cheyenne Mountain Air Force Base. It's the missile warning. So I worked there on.
Is that NORAD?
NORAD. NORAD.
What was that like?
That was great. Yeah, I enjoyed that. I enjoyed the assignment. At Peterson, I liked the area. I liked the job, and it gave me many opportunities to work in the missile field, and we had computer systems too that we worked with, and that helped me to learn a little bit about computerization and so forth. And from there, I went to Alaska.
Ooh.
Clear Air Force Station, Alaska.
And what'd you do there?
There's a warning, kind of an interpretation of it, of the attack warning, and since space. I mean, it's just sensor duties.
Monitoring the Russians.
Yes. So I went there as the assistant officer in charge.
And how long were you in Alaska?
That was a year assignment too.
And how was it living there?
It was different too because I had never been in such a cold climate, and when you have to spend a lot of time inside, indoors, from bus, you get out. The buildings were situated such that your living quarters and your dining facilities, but the work location was a little bit off-site. Well, no, I'm sorry, not at that facility, but another facility. So you had to catch a bus to get to it. So you had to go outside. So
was your family with you in Alaska?
No, family was not with me. I left them at Peterson.
And what'd you do after Alaska?
I went back to Peterson.
And that's the Cheyenne. That's the mountain.
The
right?
Cheyenne Mountain, NORAD, it covers all of that.
Okay.
And so I worked there. I went back there since I had worked in the missile and in the computer business. And we came out, there was an event that happened on 9 November 71, I think, 79. Then the order was given to make sure that any warning that was given out had to be verified and so forth. But an incident occurred where there was training done, and the warning information got out inappropriately at the inappropriate time. But it was only a test. So, and heard about six, kind of similar to the one in Hawaii. Not too, I think a year or so ago.
Yeah, about a year ago. Yeah.
But supposed to been make sure that any testing is done under strict control. So I was responsible for implementing procedures, make sure that the people, the crews, implemented those procedures to use throughout their testing activities, because you have to test because we don't want to see any real alert, but you have to test for it. If you ever, for the day that may or may not happen, that you're ready to do whatever you're supposed to do. But in doing so, you want to do it under strict procedures and do it properly, where you want to alert the public to something that's false. And so that's what that was my responsibility after I got back from Clear to work in that area.
And then what was your next assignment after that?
I worked there until I retired.
You retired? What was your favorite assignment out of all those?
I think the Peterson assignment.
Peterson,
yeah. And I have to couple that with the rocket propulsion lab, my initial assignment. But it was my first assignment, but I never got back to it. So as you see in my progression there, I ended up retiring and not getting back into it. So so I still can remember it and I liked it, but I didn't get fully engaged in it enough to say. But I still think the first and the last were the two that I enjoyed most.
What was your proudest moment of your military service?
Oh, the proudest moment was, in terms of achievement, was the making sure that the the procedures we had created would help to prevent any false alarms and not get to the public without proper procedure. So that assignment and that event, knowing that once we implemented that, because beforehand there was no procedures, anything for that, because it had never happened before. It was an incident that did happen that we were able to prevent it, and now to this day, as far as I know, nothing has happened in that regard. So not from NORAD.
What did you do when you after you retired?
After I retired, I worked with Lockheed Martin. Worked for Lockheed Martin for 28 years.
All right.
And
did you stay in the Colorado?
Stayed in Colorado Springs, yes. And I was helpful in developing the hardware and the software for the alerts and the assessments that the crews used. That I worked with before retirement.
It's a pretty incredible career. Wow. All that experience with the missiles and then being able to go straight into Lockheed Martin.
Yes.
Given your ethnicity, did you ever face any adversity in the Air Force?
To be honest, I overtly no. That I can put my fingers on. No, I never had a incident that I could say was my progression. I thought was fair. That's not to say that there wasn't any or anything like that, but for me personally, the assignments I moved through, and once I got the assignments, I got the jobs that I thought that I should have, and sure, things worked out real good.
Did your military service, did it change your outlook on life at all?
I don't think it changed. I think I was able to follow a path that I thought would initially would be helpful. I don't, you know, it didn't seem like it turned me around, is what I'm trying to say. So, or anything like that. It seemed like the path that I set initially, I think I was able to follow it pretty good. And military allowed me to do that. And so coming from my background, that was a big change and a difference that I thought that the direction I was going, it just, everything seemed to fall into place, is what I'm trying to say.
It just worked out.
Yeah, just.
What kind of lessons did you learn in the military that kind of helped you out with life?
Well, I learned primarily organizational skills and working with people, using ideas that were given by everybody to solve a problem. Well, I learned basically everything, you know, that's the discipline, you name it.
So you said 27 years at Lockheed Martin?
28 years.
20 years, yeah. And then
20 in the military.
Yeah. So are you retired now? And
I'm retired now.
Yeah.
And,
what do you do now?
Well, it's mostly the things at home that I wanted to do for that time period. I don't know how I got everything done that I did while working, because I dedicated. I was, you know, when I went to work, it's early, get to work early and stay as late as you need to do to get the job done. And whatever you got to do at home just got pushed back and stuff like that. So it's just catch-up work now. Fix up. Fix the things that breaks all the time. But there's a little easier. You know, I have a family. I raised a family. Help see my children through school and help them. So I think that's about.
And what do your children do?
Well, I have two children. It won't turn off. I'm sorry.
It's all right.
I'm trying to turn it off and it won't. Two children. Both of them. One went to Colorado State University and one went to University of Colorado. So they both are working in fields that they like to work. They're working with the civil service. One is working with government contracting. They live close to me. One, about an hour away. That's far enough.
Great. What message would you like to leave for future generations that might be viewing this interview?
Well, I'd like to say, determine, you know, one is that to serve your country. I think everyone should do something. That's something for everybody to do. That's enough to go around, enough for everybody to do. Whether it's direct military or not, there's something to do. But determine what that is, set your goal, and try to stay on that track and go to it. But if you don't set it initially, you won't have a target that you're going to try to reach, in my opinion. If you just, well, I'll see what I'm going to do later. But even if you change it, even if you think that, you know, you start out with a plan, plans are made to be changed, modified. Start out doing something, and if it's not exactly right, you can change it. But I always have something in front of you that you have planned and that you want to do, and just get to it and stay at it, get it done.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much. Is there anything that you'd like to add that we haven't covered?
No, except that I'm grateful for the opportunities that were given me,
Mm-hmm.
and that I don't think I squandered it.
Mm-hmm.
And my parents always told me that do the best that you can do
Mm-hmm.
whenever you're given an opportunity,
Mm-hmm.
and don't misuse it. So I think that's what I tried to do, and I'm pleased that I was able to accomplish what I accomplished. I'm satisfied with it.
Well, Paul, thank you so much.
Yeah.
It's been an amazing career and a good conversation, and thank you for your service.
Well, thank you very much.
This concludes the interview with Paul Nix.
Thank you.